Hi there. Welcome to a new episode of Branding with Friends, the show where branding meets key small business topics. Here, you're going to learn tips straight from the experts on everything from social media to SEO to marketing, and what you can do right now to use the power of branding to attract your ideal clients and customers. I'm your host, branding expert Annie Franceschi of Greatest Story Creative. I help small business owners tell their story and show their value through branding. I'm also a former Disney storyteller, professional speaker, and the author of the best-selling book, Permission to Try. And today, I'm going to introduce you to one of my friends from the business world. If you have ever wondered how to make sense of social media as a small business owner, you are going to love today's episode. My guest today is the amazing Andrea Jones. Andrea is fiercely committed to helping businesses and podcasters build profitable communities online through simple social media solutions. She's been featured in places like HubSpot, Aweber, and WordPress. She's also been named one of Social Report's top marketers to follow in 2019. As the host of the Savvy Social podcast and the creator of SavvySocialSchool.com, Andrea is dedicated to simplifying social media through easy-to-follow courses, professional guidance, and community support. Outside of teaching and training, she spends most of her time serving her full-service clients and practicing what she preaches by implementing organic social media strategies for businesses and brands that want to grow with an engaged audience online. Andrea, welcome to Branding with Friends.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad that you're here. And today we are talking about your wheelhouse, which is social media. I get questions about social media all the time. Often it's a chicken or egg kind of thing with branding. You and I both know that. And I know you're going to be sharing your top 3 tips for everybody today, for our business owners, their top 3 tips on how they can grow their business using social media smartly. So we're going to have Andrea hold that very last tip for the end of the episode, like we always do. So be sure to wait till the end and make sure you listen to the end of the episode today to make sure you get every bit of advice we have to share with you. So as we're gearing up for that very first tip, Andrea, can you tell us a little bit about your passion for social media and sort of how you got into this world in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am just an early adapter to social media. I would say I was back in like the LiveJournal, MySpace days when we were all still trying to figure it out. So I just have a natural love for being social online. And I think that comes from my introverted side. So I am quite the introvert, but social media allows me to be social when I feel like it. And then when I don't, I can just put it away. So it works out very well for me. And so I think my natural love for it led to working in this industry. I actually remember it, I guess this was probably like 2012. I was working in a spa as manager, and I was like, one day I want to, do just social media. Cause like at the time it was like, you're the youngest person here, you do the social media. And I was like, I want this. Yeah. I want this to be my full-time job. They're like, that's not a job. And here we are today. And so I love the power of social media because we can connect with anybody for very low cost to no cost. All it costs oftentimes is our time. And so from a business owner perspective, I think that's such a powerful tool to kind of have at our fingertips to be able to do that. So I love showing people how they can do that without having to spend, thousands of dollars on ads just to get clients or business for their company.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so funny. A lot of people I'm talking to they're starting around 2012, 2013. That's when I got started too. And, what we're learning is take time, right? It takes time to build up to this, but, it felt like a crazy idea then, but I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. I think you make social media so accessible for business owners, which is why I wanted to have you on Branding with Friends. So, thank you for sharing that. But, let's go ahead and start with that first tip. What is the number one first tip you would share with small business owners about how they should approach social media?
Yes. And I think this first tip is really from a place of focus. So when we're looking around at maybe a competitor or all of the possibilities, sometimes it can feel overwhelming. Should you be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn? And my suggestion is to just pick one. Choose one platform and have that be your focus for the moment. I think sometimes we look at these other platforms and we look at our competitors and we see them doing all of these things, but we don't see all of the steps that it took to get there. And so I like to relate this to working out. So I'm not a huge gym person, but if I were to go to the gym, I would most likely be starting with like a 5 or 10 pound weight if I were lifting weights. But if I'm looking at, that CrossFit person over there who does CrossFit at 5 a.m. for 3 hours every day, and I go, boy, look at those muscles. There's a lot of work that goes into that. Right. I'm not there yet. So when I'm talking to business owners, I'm really looking for that 5 to 10 pound weight version of starting with social media. And oftentimes it's just picking one platform. And that platform does vary depending on what kind of business you have. But I also like to start with where you prefer to spend your time. Because if you like showing up on LinkedIn, for instance, you're more likely to use that platform. If I told you to use Instagram and you go, I don't want to, I don't get it, I don't like it, then you're probably not going to use it. So a good place to start is just to pick that one platform that you kind of feel like you already know or you feel comfortable on, and figure that one out. And then you can add on the rest later.
Yeah, I think that's such a great tip. And I see so many people who think social media, they have to be experts, thought leaders right from the get-go and do all the things. I call it getting torn up in the tactic tornado. And I know we've talked about that before. It's where you get so overwhelmed with all these things that you go down at the black hole of internet marketing and you see no return on your time, because even though it's just your time, in some cases, your time's really valuable. And I think your point's well taken, is to pick one thing and do it really well. And I love that you also pointed out, do something that you like to do. So to challenge you on that though, I literally just had a conversation with a client earlier today, and she said, I just hate social media. So what do you tell people if you're saying pick one platform? Do you tell her to pick a platform? Do you tell her to hire somebody? She does have a product-based business, so that might influence what you have to say, but she's just like, I just don't even like it. I don't want to be on it. Do I have to be on it? What would you tell her about this? How would you adjust the tip, if at all?
Yeah, that's a great question, because that's actually kind of if I had a niche, I would say I work with people who hate social media.
Yes.
So I love that. But I think that it's almost like, so for me, I'll use an example. I hate bookkeeping. I despise doing my P&Ls. It makes my skin crawl to look at these numbers. So the first thing that I outsource in my business, bookkeeping.
Yeah.
So it is a necessary part of running a business, especially a product-based business in 2020. It's absolutely necessary. But there are things you can do to make it manageable. So picking the one platform and then giving yourself a manageable amount of work to do. I mean, we all have a million things to do within a day. So I typically say, if you could set aside an hour a week for social media, maybe 2 hours a week for social media, that is a really good start until you can find someone to outsource it. My one caveat would be, if you work one-to-one with clients, you're a service-based person, you work with one-to-one individuals, and you only need a handful of clients every year to be successful, you may not need social media. Handshaking, networking, it may work for you. And if that works for you, great. If you're rolling around in business and you don't really need the exposure for it, great. But a lot of us, it is that leg up that helps people kind of decide to choose us and choose to work with us.
Right. And sometimes there's sort of that hybrid between the two, right? So I'm with you, and I teach a lot of my clients who are often coaches and consultants that you don't need a million clients. You don't need to be doing all the things, just do some things really, really well. And social media, I think, is one of those. But there's also sort of the in-between, which is, being consistent online, showing up online, but not making it your core focus either, right? Especially as a service-based business. So as you know, I do branding, and it's Branding with Friends. So I'd love for you to just also talk a little bit about how much you feel like branding impacts your business and the work that you do as someone who does social media, but also you're a service-based business too. So how much is branding playing a role to set you up for success online and offline?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it goes into kind of your approach to branding, which I love, which isn't just, colors and fonts and things. It's this whole story behind what you do. And social media kind of gives me a place to put that. There's only so much I can put on my website. It really is focused on more of a conversion, get on a call with me kind of thing. Social media allows me to share different elements of what I do. It allows me to showcase my expertise. On platforms like LinkedIn, it's great because clients can actually leave little reviews for me and other people can see those. I love using video. So for me to show up on an Instagram story feels very natural, and it allows people kind of an insight into my world. So all of that is part of the brand experience,
Yep.
so to speak. And so it allows me that just another layer for people to feel like they know me. So by the time a client, like if they look at my website and they go look at all my social media, which is how a lot of people make decisions these days,
Right.
by the time they do all of that, they go, okay, I kind of get a sense what this person is about. Now when I get on a call with her, I kind of already know if I want to work with her or not. This call is
Right.
really just kind of like that final step in the decision making process. So it just emphasizes everything that you'd put on your website, everything that you'd have in a proposal, so to speak, just in a way that's more intimate online.
Yeah, and I think you do a great job of explaining, sort of branding is all about it's sometimes people think it is just a logo and fonts and colors. You do it one time, but that's a brand identity, right? And that even that updates over time. But as your business grows, you grow, you need to be extending the story, telling more of the story, telling more chapters in that story. And I've never really thought about social media as an extension of storytelling, but that's really what it is. If you start and you're telling, you have that marketing copy, you have sort of the pieces that I help clients with where they have a brand voice guide, they have a brand story guide, they have the toolkit, but a toolkit's only useful if you use it, right? The hammer's only useful if you use it to put a nail in the wall and you hang something up on the wall for yourself. Like if it sits in the drawer and does nothing, then what's the point? And I think you've done such a great job explaining to us that, for a small business owner to not be afraid of social media, because it's actually such a great opportunity to keep introducing yourself and keep talking about the work you do and what you're passionate about, so that by the time they talk to you in that consultation, you are not a cold commodity. There's somebody they feel like they really know. And it's just more of a confirmation conversation than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I know we'll talk about creating content in a minute, but one of the things I do want to kind of highlight with the brand story idea is think about some of the commercials that you see on TV. So like a Folgers commercial, for instance, it's formulaic. It's got the same jingle. We've heard it a million times. We know it when we see it. We go to the store, we see it. We have a whole experience when we see it because we kind of had that experience over time. So if you could approach your social media from that angle, like you have kind of like the pieces of the puzzle and you kind of put them together in different ways on social media. Maybe you say them the same things consistently on social media. People will come to recognize you as that person. They'll come to recognize your brand as aligned with a certain ideology. And that's where the power is really when it comes to social media marketing.
And that takes, as you're sort of alluding to, but not saying directly, it takes time. It takes consistency. It takes showing up. It's not going to be that one post that gets you a million clients or sells a million coffee cups. You just have to keep going and telling a consistent story, because what I'm always shocked by, whether it's my book or my website or social media or with your social, it's like so many more people read and engage with your stuff than you even realize. Just because they don't put a like or they don't put a comment doesn't mean people aren't seeing it. You're shocked every time I get an email from somebody like, oh, you were like even paying attention, like interesting.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think it's just my husband and my dad that look at stuff. And then I find out neither one of them are looking at something and I go, oh my God, no one's looking at it.
That's hilarious. Yeah. A lot more people are paying attention than we think.
Right. They are. And I think you just alluded to one of my secret weapons in social media and how I use social media. But this is also leading into our second tip. So your first tip, really important, of course, is to not try to be everything to all people. Pick a platform, choose one, be great at it. What is the second thing that business owners should do in terms of social media?
Yeah. So the second thing I suggest is to really set yourself up for success when it comes to creating social media content. So oftentimes we feel disappointed with the content we're creating because we literally pick up our phone and we start to type something and go, no, that's not good. Or we open up the tab and we type in LinkedIn and we go, I can't think of anything. And so we feel like we're failing because we can't think of something on the spot, something that we haven't done before.
Right.
We're pushing ourselves so far there. And so oftentimes when I'm telling people about social media and creating content, I want you to create space, like give yourself room to create that content. So if that's sitting down for 30 minutes on a Friday and going, okay, I want to figure out what I want to say next week on social media, then do that. And I usually recommend 30 minutes to an hour in that space. So sit down once a week, give yourself 30 minutes to an hour, and start practicing creating content. The first couple times you do it, it's going to be bad. I'm just going to tell you that.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's going to be bad. It's going to feel weird. It's kind of like if I started going to the gym right now, lifting those 10-pound weights, I'd be like, this feels like 50, not 10. So it's going to feel uncomfortable, but you kind of have to let yourself get past that so you can get into the habit of it. And if you're working with a kind of like amazing branding person like Annie here, then you're gonna have everything you need to put those pieces together. So you're gonna have, some scripts that you can use. You're gonna have some main points that you want to highlight. You're going to have some stories that you can tell. And so you can start using those to put together your scheduling plan. So sit down, give yourself a block of time, 30 minutes to an hour, and kind of create that content for the next week.
I love it. I think that that's such a great secret because people think, and then I used to be that person. I get so intimidated because you're also scrolling through and being like, oh, this content's so good. And then you start feeling the imposter syndrome. So we need to get away from that. And you've alluded to one of my favorite tips, which is actually to batch your time. So to batch time, to make a date with yourself, as you're saying, like sort of make that time for the space so that you're not on the spot, so that you are in the right mindset, so you are thinking about your business correctly. And as you said, like when you work with a branding person and the stories you want to tell, it makes that stuff so much easier. Right. So if you're really lost on like what your focus is in the first place, one of the biggest things I do with clients, whether it's in a mentoring session, a workshop, or anything I'm going to do, if I'm going to do any writing or design for them, we do a creative brief and we identify, 4 to 6 key brand story themes. Mm-hmm. So these sort of pillars that within each, bullet or descriptor are infinite stories you could tell. And so many of my clients either hate social media or don't know what to do with it or both. And I just say, look, for lack of a better option or, lack of getting lost in all these great tactics, is to number them 1 through 5, go through them 1 through 5 and just keep cycling through, because then at least you're focusing on what matters to your ideal client, what matters to you. And that this stuff relates to your business and helps you connect to them. It doesn't have to be overly complicated, and you can actually schedule it, which is so great. So do you want to mention any tools that you really like for scheduling a content plan? Like once you're sort of creating the content, batching it all together, whether it's in a list or putting it into a tool, what do you recommend to your clients?
Yes. So the free one that I recommend is later.com, specifically Instagram focused. So for my more visual people, that's great. And then Social Report is kind of more of an advanced tool, but I love it because it's also got reporting. So you can kind of see how things are performing as you start scheduling things out. And I will say this, when you're creating the content, you're sitting down with that date with yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. If all you can do is one post, go with that. And then the next week, you may get one and a little bit. And then the week after that, maybe you got 2, build up those muscles for writing the post, and definitely do schedule them out, because then it's out of your brain and then you don't feel the weight of it throughout the whole week, which is where this dislike from social media comes from.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, as you're thinking about that, and I know we're talking a lot about how branding works with this today. So, we talked about how you use branding in your business. You work with a lot of business owners, whether they're product-based, service-based. How critical do you think them having branding is to them being successful on social? What do you think they have to have figured out about their brand and about their business before they can actually be really successful using your strategies on social media?
Yes, I love the kind of 5 pillars that you talked about. And I think if you give yourself topics, like these are what I'm going to talk about on social media, that's where the success comes from. And I actually get some clients who go, man, I'm so tired of talking about these things. I'm like, good. Keep talking about them. You will feel tired of talking about it, but you've got to get to that point where you're just talking about them consistently so it feels very natural. I think that's where you can shine as far as kind of your storytelling side goes. You can also have visual branding elements to your social media content as well. If you want to add some design elements, you'll probably kill me for this, but usually when I tell people who are starting, if they get too lost in the design, I say just pick one color and one font and just use that.
I think that that's great advice.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all about practicality here, and I would rather people do something than nothing. Have a business card rather than be perfect. Have social media rather than have it be perfect. I think that's great advice. If you just I was just wondering, what can we tell people about visuals? So continue, tell us more.
Yes, no, I love that. So pick one color, pick one font. Like if you get stuck, because there's a lot of options. And if you want to create kind of like a graphic using something like canva.com is very easy to get started, but keep your color, keep your font. Don't change them until you hire a branding expert to help you. Just pick the one color, one font, and stick with that. And oftentimes too, as service-based business owners, we put a lot of us into what we do. So if you feel comfortable using your own photography, definitely use that. Just use the stories in the caption to tie it back to your brand. So for instance, if you're posting a selfie of you after you climbed a mountain, the caption should say something about what you do. And you can use storytelling, maybe talk about achieving something great, or you can talk about accomplishing something, or maybe overcoming a challenge, and then talk about how
a client reach a goal.
Exactly. So you can still use your selfies and you on the mountaintop, use the caption as a storytelling element to bring it back to what you do.
Yeah. And I think we should also point out, I think we're dancing around it, but we haven't quite said it overtly. I'm probably going to say it on every episode, but people make the mistake to think that all this has to be about them. And it really isn't about you. It's actually, even though it's social media, if it's a business profile that you're using to grow your business, it is about your ideal client. So you're just showing up there to guide them. So better to talk sometimes about how you help people, talking about clients and their successes, what kinds of things you can do to help others in that context, not just how awesome you are. It's not always about look at me, look at me, look at me. It's look at what we can make happen together, or what my products can help you do in your life, and how that's going to affect things, right? Mm-hmm. So it is social. It is about you, but it's always going to be through that lens of that ideal client, right?
Yeah. And that's why having those storytelling elements down, at least having the topics kind of outlined, will help you always keep that in mind, that, even though I may be posting a picture of me, or even though I'm the one delivering the service, really focusing on the other people.
Yeah, they're the hero of the story. You're the guy, they're the hero. The other thing you touched on that I think is so powerful is something that happens in branding a lot too, is that I love what you said, that people should get tired. You should be tired of talking about these things. And I might call that, I see a lot of friction coming from fatigue over messaging, over branding. A lot of people rebrand because I'm just so tired of my logo. I'm just so tired of my message, or I've been using my message for a month and it's just not working and I just need to try it another way. And that's the quickest way to, I think, not be known for things, and to kill your awareness and to kill your memorability before it even gets started. Because you and I we've been doing this for years. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't even build a social media following overnight. I was just talking with Megan Taylor, and she grew of All She Wrote Notes, and she grew from one follower, which was herself on her personal account, to now she's at 50,000 followers. Wow. Right. So, but that didn't happen in a month. And so I see a lot of business owners who give up too quickly. And so, your social media is probably working if you're being consistent and you do feel a little bit of fatigue. Your branding is probably working. As long as you are staying busy and bringing in clients, it's working. So you don't necessarily want to monkey with it just because you're tired of it. Because of course you're tired of it, but you're not the client, right?
Yes. And I think there is a satisfaction in showing up in that way. And a lot of us are creative, or we started our business because we're risk takers. And so sometimes we want to, I like you said, monkey with it. We want to monkey with it. And
just a little bit, just change the color. Yeah.
Leave it alone. I'll use a personal example actually here. So I recently changed my hair, and it actually affected my brand. So I've worn wigs for like 10 years. And then 3 years ago, I decided not to because my hair was actually growing back. I struggle with alopecia, balding and that sort of thing. So I wore natural hair for the past 3 years. And the past 3 years is actually when my business blew up the most. And so even though most people in my life that have seen me wear wigs for most of my adult life, my brand is well known for my little afro.
Right.
And so when I change my hair, people go, "Oh, you look so different." I'm like, "Well, I actually look the same," if that makes sense. But
Right. Yeah.
it does affect that brand, and to the point where I went to an event and people were like, "Oh, I didn't recognize you."
Right.
And so you kind of have to have that similarity, consistency, so that people can instantly recognize you. And especially on something like social media, your posts are mixed in with hundreds to thousands of other posts.
People. Yep.
People are looking at it for a fraction of a second. So you have to be memorable in that time. And so in order to do that, you kind of have to get a little bored with what you're saying.
Well, right. And I think you also touched on something which is a great point, is like you have a medical condition where you have to do this and you had to switch your look, right? So something happened to you, you had to change your brand in that way. It has affected it. But I think one of the things that you've done, and if you go on and follow Andrea after this, you will see that she's actually made it a huge positive. And I remember thinking, oh, I don't know that much about alopecia. She started an account. She's been talking about it. And I'm sure you've given a lot of hope to people who have this or know somebody who are going through it. So turning it into a story is actually a brilliant thing to do. So if you have to make a change to your brand, you don't have to be afraid of that. Like that, there are times you do change things, your ideal client changes, your offering changes, or even your physical appearance changes. And so you've made that make sense. You gave it some context, and some people might have hidden and not said anything, but you've turned it into a huge positive that I'm sure you'll end up talking about in different respects, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just going through it now. So I do feel like it is harder, but I've been through it before.
Okay.
And when I was much younger. And so I feel like I've been here before. So
right.
There is a lot to that though, of owning up to it and sharing kind of all different elements of your story in different ways. And I'm still, in the process of it. Like I said, I don't know exactly how it's going to impact or affect my brand, or how this story will relate to social media somehow. But I'm starting that process, and I'm open to kind of the adventure of it all.
Yeah. And you're sort of giving it that professional, capacity of it, but you're not hiding it either. So I think it's a great example. And I think you've shared so much knowledge with us today. Great tips so far. So we've talked about many, many different things. And before we get to that third final tip that we'll do at the end, I want to make sure that people can connect with you and can learn more, because you have, as you said to me just before we started recording, you could talk about social media all day long. You have courses, you have resources, you have all the great things for clients I work with and so many other people who need to hear how to make sense of social media and how they can approach it in a really digestible way. So how can our audience connect further with you?
Yes. So the best way to get started with my philosophies, so to speak, is to start with my free course. So you can find it by going to onlinedrea.com/free, and it's called the Social Media Success Framework. And it's really the bones of how I approach social media. So it's really the best place to start. And then if you want to connect with me on social media, I'm everywhere at OnlineDrea.
Awesome. Awesome. And of course, I follow you on Instagram at Annie.Franceschi and all the things. And I love seeing your content. I love your stories. And, we'll know what you're going up to right now if we go and follow you. But I would encourage you guys to take advantage of this special gift, because getting a free course is a wonderful thing. Today, people are packing a lot of value into them. So again, that's onlinedrea.com/free to get the social media success framework. Of course, as always, wherever you're watching this, you're going to have Andrea's handles and ways to connect with her in the text as well. So if you missed it, it's there for you. And you have already, as we said, we've shared 2 powerful tips. So if I remember right, so I'm taking notes, is we have to at least choose one platform and do it well. We want to set ourselves up for success by having some sort of content plan, maybe batching that time, figuring out how we're going to schedule our social media so we're less under the gun for that. But, if we have one parting word, what's your third and final piece of advice for business owners? What can they do to maximize their social media?
Yes. And I think this last tip is actually the most important one because it's one that is easy to neglect. And it's really making space for connections, making space to actually go out and find the potential clients and customers who don't know you exist. And they're literally waiting for what you offer. And they just need to know. They just need that little tap on the shoulder and to know that you're here. So really create that space. I often recommend just give yourself 10 to 15 minutes a day. It could be maybe what you do immediately after your lunch before you dive back into work again, and scroll through maybe some hashtags. You can look at certain locations, for instance. If you're looking on a platform like LinkedIn, you can search by job titles, you can search by the city that you're in, and just start searching and seeing how you can connect with other people. This isn't a chance to sell them on something. This is, like I said, the little tap on the shoulder, introduce them to you. If you wouldn't say it to someone in line at Starbucks, maybe skip it. So be polite, be nice, but just start connecting with people. And that's really where the power is of social media, because there's so many people who don't know what you offer, and all they need is just to get to know you. So give them that chance.
Oh, I love it. And that's the personal part of it, right? And so easy online to think we're broadcasting, but it really is about one-to-one connection, as is branding in so many ways. And I always tell people that people invest in people. Even if they're buying a service from you, even if they're buying a product, they are connecting to you. And that's why they are buying something in many cases, especially in the work that you and I do and many of our listeners today. So I can't thank you enough for being here. It was so great to have you on. And we hope to do it again soon. It was a blast. And for you guys listening, we hope you enjoyed another episode of Branding with Friends. Huge thanks to my special guest, again, Andrea Jones of SavvySocialSchool.com, and of course, the Savvy Social podcast, available where podcasts are listened to. I hope you will tune in next time when we tackle yet another topic that meets branding and business. Till then, I'm Annie Franceschi of Greatest Story Creative. Find all our episodes, branding resources, and more at our website, greateststorycreative.com. Have a good one.